All right, welcome to the Creation to Cash Flow podcast. On this podcast, we discuss strategies to maximize your creativity and help you achieve financial freedom. How's it going, Michelle?
It's great. I am in a different location today. Are we surprised? No, but I'm actually in a conference room today. I'm usually like under a cozy blanket on my cozy couch with a cozy pillow. And today I'm like in a environment with like framed artwork and chairs that are, yeah, I'm in a chair. I don't think I ever sit in a chair. So I feel a little bit professional today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Sometimes it's nice to record these in a different place. Like when I did the episode at a podcast studio in San Juan, I was like, this is actually kind of nice. Like, it was a whole studio set up with nice lights and everything. I wasn't just sitting at my desk with my camera. So there's something super amazing about it. But anyway, I'm doing great. Life is so good. I'm super excited for this episode because it feels like, just like last week, we're always going through the same things and we're like, what should we talk about this week? And we're like, oh, we're both experiencing this major thing. So today we're talking to you guys about learning versus earning. And we did an episode previously on this. If you have not listened to that episode before, I recommend you go back and watch that because this is like the add on. This is the higher level. That episode was posted April 11th, 2024.
2023.
Yes, 2023. April 11th, 2023. And that episode is pretty much just like prefacing working for free and knowing what to charge and important topics like that. But today, we're going a little bit deeper because me and Michelle, for a while, have been in an earning stage, and we're going back to do some learning right now, and it's pretty exciting. Michelle, do you want to start us off and just explain like what's going on over there in your life that all of a sudden you're in a place where you're trying to learn a lot of new things? Because I know we're always learning, but sometimes we put ourselves in this environment where you're like, "Oh, I'm learning now."
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for once, I'm finally investing confidently in assistants and people and managers and just people that I can invest my money in that I'm earning instead of taking that money. And I know it's going to help my company grow. But I'm also like back in school. And it's very weird as an adult in their 30s to go back to school. But it's not that I'm in a college, I'm going back to acting school, back in acting classes, because that has always been my passion. And content creation has allowed me the ability to now be able to go back to classes and have passive income while I'm in class. And it's amazing, but it's weird because usually at night I am working, I'm editing videos, I'm editing our podcast, I'm doing stuff. But now at night I'm sitting in a classroom, I have my phone put away, and it's so weird because I'm like, I know this is going to earn me more money in the future, or like this is for my future, this is something I enjoy doing. But I feel weird because I feel like I'm back in school where when I was in college, I was like, it's normal to not be making money. I'm in school. Like it was normal. I don't need to be making money. I am in classes. But now I'm like, okay, wait. Now I'm a business where I am making money, but I'm also in classes. But I also am not making as much money because I'm not working as much. I don't know. It's very weird. It's weird. It's new. It's exciting. It's weird.
I can totally feel for that like weirdness because I mean, for the last few months, you've just been in this grind mode of like earning, earning, earning. And now there's nothing wrong with that. And you could keep doing that. But eventually, sometimes you have to look and be like, I really want to just get better in a certain area, whether it's in your business or adjacent to your business. And I love to see that you're going back. We say going back, and we're going to talk about that, but going back to learning because I am going through the same exact thing. I also, right now, I have brought some people on to my team that I am paying a lot of money so that I can step away from my earning stage and also do some more learning and learn and understand and become an expert at things that are going to level me up in the long run. So it's funny because we feel like this is a step backwards, and I want to talk that through. And because it's not, but why does it feel this way, Michelle? Do you have thoughts?
It's weird. Yeah, we talked about this on Monday where I was like, I feel like I'm going back, but I'm also going forward. And I think it feels like a step back because I'm so used to this pattern of earning. And there are things I have done, like the Brands Meet Creators Academy. You and I both were students in there before we became like coaches in there. That was another, like, oh, I'm joining this academy. I'm joining this course where I'm going to learn a lot and have mentors and a life coach and everything. And so, like, that was still not as much because it wasn't as many hours. I just feel like it's bringing me back to my college days where that feeling of I have responsibilities, but at the same time, I have kind of a hall pass, like I have a pass because I'm in school. So it's like it's expected for me to not make as much. So I feel like I'm going back to that feeling, although I'm so much further ahead in life now than I was back then.
How many hours is it? Like, give us a taste of like what does this actually look like in your week? How does this fit in? Because you're busy.
Yeah, so it's about 12 to 15 hours a week in class. That does not include any rehearsals, any prep, any line memorization, any external things I'm doing. So, yeah, it's like taking a full semester of classes, 12 to 15 hours a week.
That's a lot. That's a lot to
I know.
put on your plate. So, I mean, it really is like you really do have to step back from your earning stage a little bit, but it's that step backwards. This sounds so cliche, but it's so true and important to talk about. Like it's that step backwards that allows you to grow and then take 5 steps forwards.
Yeah. And it's helping with content creation too. Like this is part of what we do. So I'm justifying it more than back in the day when I was just a marketing major and I was like, I'm leaving everything to go to New Orleans to pursue acting and do acting classes. And everybody was like, what? But now, because content creation is so hand in hand with commercials and acting, it is helpful. But you're right. It's weird because I'm like, not only am I in class, I'm also paying people a lot of money to help me with emails and contracts and CPA and accountant and payroll and all these things. So I'm not only paying money to the acting classes and like I guess I'm opportunity cost. I'm losing opportunity of making more money while I'm in these classes, but I'm also now investing in like people to help me with my business. So I'm like just throwing money out, but I don't feel like I'm throwing it out into the world to be gone. I feel like I'm throwing it out into things that are going to make me more money. And I have to trust that this is a good decision. And I know it is. Deep in my soul, I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
I love this because every week we seem to uncover that we're going through so many of the same things. Like right now I'm expanding my team and I'm paying them more and I'm like, "Oh, this is kind of scary." And I'm being forced to step back from things that I've always done in my business and outsource them and allow my team to step up to the plate and shine. And it's scary, but it's such a necessary thing to do as you're growing. Otherwise, you won't grow. Like you'll kind of plateau, and it wouldn't be a bad place to plateau, right? Like if you're making a couple or like a couple $1,000s or multiple tens of thousands of dollars per month, like it's not a bad place to hang out for a few. But at some point, you just know, like if I've gotten this far, I know how much further I could go, and I need to get some professionals in my corner. Like right now, what I'm paying my new mentors is more than I paid to be a student at Rowan University to become a civil engineer. And I only just thought about that as we were talking. I was like, wait a minute, is this more expensive than when I went to college? And I was like, oh my God, it is. And it's crazy because I'm not taking a full suite of classes. Like I just have people in my corner now that are helping me have breakthroughs and take those next steps and expand my team and make sure that all of my clients are thriving and I'm thriving and my team is thriving. And there's so many hurdles that come along with all of this expansion that it feels like a step backwards in a way. Like it's like I have to I have to go backwards. I have to pay money to get people in my life to teach me things that I need to know more about. So it feels like this step backwards, but we know it's going to allow us to take so many steps forwards.
Yeah. It's almost like it's required. It's just like going to college to get the degree, the traditional route. You you take a step back from working full time so you could be in school full time. Or if you're like me, I did both at the same time while also partying full time, but that was neither here nor there. Um I do not have that same energy anymore. But it's like that thing, and it's almost like that is normal to do when you're in college, when you're getting out of high school. It's normal to take a step back to do this thing. And it's not as normal when you're an adult, and it takes a lot more effort. And again, you don't have as much energy, you may not have as much time. There's more responsibility on your plate, but it doesn't mean it's not just as important as whenever you get out of high school and choose to go the college route. It's just as important, and you're never too old to do this thing. Like it's learning is something that we have the gift of doing. And I feel like whatever that looks like for you, like this is your sign. It is worth it.
I love that so much. It's so true. You could do this at any age, but it also does become harder with age. Like the longer you wait, the more responsibilities that you have, because inevitably just as you get older, life just gives you more, like things become more expensive, you have more fixed costs, you have more pressure to provide for everyone in your life. So the longer you wait, the harder it might be, but that's all the more reason to just look yourself in the mirror right now and be like, am I ready to take a big step? Am I ready to learn more so that I can earn more? And that's, I don't know, it's just really exciting because sometimes there's an immediate payoff when you do this, and other times it takes a few weeks or months or even years. But like I've seen some almost immediate payoffs. Like when I took this step and I was like, oh my God, I'm making a massive investment right now, and it was very nerve wracking. But I've already seen massive benefits. Like I've been able to scale some things just beyond like where I was even ready to, and it's scary. Like growth is just as scary as doing nothing, because you know that you're just decaying. If you're not growing, you're decaying. So it's scary either way. You got to just choose your scary. Do I want to be scared because I'm doing more and taking on more than I thought was possible? Or do you want to be scared because you're in a downtrend, because you're not taking steps ever to learn and grow?
Mm. Choose your scary. I freaking love that. It's so true. It's crazy because different personality types might feel like one might be more safe than the other. I think that at the end of the day, whether I ever book a role or not with acting, like I would rather be doing this than continue on the upward trend of like making so much money per month, multiple six figures a year. Like, yeah, that felt great, but I felt like, there's something I'm missing. There's something that I know I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm almost going to have to like lay off on the whole like expectation of making as much as I was temporarily so that I can do what I know I'm supposed to be doing, which is right now I'm supposed to be at this acting school, and it's wonderful and beautiful. So you have to trust yourself. You have to ask yourself what you want. Then you have to trust yourself enough that you believe that what you want is for a reason. It's a lot of trust. It is risky, quote unquote, but it's also risky seeing where you're at and knowing exactly what next year is going to look like, and you aren't happy about it. You got to do what you know will make you happy.
It's true, and it's horrifying either way. Like no matter what you choose, because I know sometimes you guys might listen to this podcast and be like, and think that me and Michelle have it all figured out or something like that.
I know.
And I want to emphasize to you that everything we do feels just as horrifying as everything you guys do. Like it's super scary. No matter what you do with your life, it's scary. It's hard to make ends meet every single month. It's hard to grow and achieve your goals. But it's also very hard and very scary to put those things on the back burner and just keep living the same day over and over. So you've got to occasionally step back and be like, all right, have I hit the ceiling of everything I could do right here on my own. And if that is the case, you got to make an investment to blow through that ceiling. You've got to get some people in your corner to either take something off your plate and you pay them to do it, or you pay people to help you hit the next level of where you want to go. But either way, like, it takes time, it takes money, it takes energy. In my case, like, I'm not putting in 15 hours per week with this new thing. I'm just paying a ton of money, and it's maybe 2 hours per week, which is crazy. In Michelle's case, like, you have to put in a ton of time. It's probably really expensive as well, if I were to guess, but you have to put in a lot of your time. So either way, you have to sacrifice some time or some energy or some money, but that's really important step in growing and hitting the next level, no matter where you're at. I don't care if you're at step 0 and you're like, what do I want to do with my life? And you bring someone on to help you figure that out. You bring someone into your life. Or if you're at step 35 and you're like, I make like $30,000 a month, but I'm kind of stuck there and I've been here for a while and I'm ready to take a step past that. So no matter where you're at, it's scary and it's so exciting too.
It is. And I know that a lot of people, I know people like this that are, they're the adults. They have the job, they're making a certain amount, and they feel like they just don't have time. But what they do admit to me is that they have time, but in that time, they need to recover from their hard job. They need to turn off their brain. They need to do all these things to basically distract themselves. And so it's like, in order to stay human and like floating or like at least paddling above water, they need these like outs. And we've talked about this on other podcasts. And I remember this one podcast that we had. I don't even know what you said, but it was something so profound about like whenever it's late at night and you need the TV on to almost like shut your brain off, or like there's like that hit of dopamine. I don't even know what you said. You might not even know what I'm talking about,
I
but
know exactly what you're talking about.
please say it. Please. What
Revenge
was it?
bedtime
Yeah.
procrastination.
Okay, say it again. Sorry, I yelled.
It's revenge bedtime procrastination. It's that thing where at the end of the night, you're like, you know what? I had no time for me today. And it's time that I take control. And you stay up too late watching TV or doing things because you feel like it's your only free time.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it. You can continue.
Okay, yeah. I get it though, because I was once in that state several years ago, and it's like this like I'm on this not rat race. What is that wheel? Hamster wheel. I'm on the hamster wheel. I am running, and I'm like I feel like if I stop running and I don't do this revenge bedtime thing or distract myself with crime junkie podcasts or whatever, like I just feel like I am going to lose it. And I remember one day I did lose it. I had that mental breakdown that I've talked about and got sent home from work. And I was like, I need to reevaluate what I'm doing with my life. And it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And it's like these people that are in this state, Nick, that are doing all the things, they have all the responsibilities, they do want a change, but they feel like they don't have time. And they feel like if they don't do the things that are distractions, that aren't investing their time or money or energy into something for the future, what would you say to somebody in that state? What would you say to somebody to get out of that? Like, what do they need to do? Because the habits that they have obviously need to be broken, right? So like, what would you say to somebody? Because I know there are so many people like that listen to our podcast.
That's such a good question. And what I'm about to say will probably work for most people, but maybe not everyone. So take it with a grain of salt or sand or whatever the saying is.
Salt.
Yeah, I don't think I understand that saying. Maybe we'll talk about that another time. I think, and I know I've mentioned this on another podcast too, and I'll say it on every podcast if I have to. To me, the thing that helped the most, because I would go to work and exhaust myself. I would feel okay, but then by the time I get home, I'm like, I take my backpack off and I'm like, ugh, I am just so beat. And I'm like, by the time I cook or find something to eat and shower and whatever other random things, right? You want to talk to your partner or you have kids or your dog just shit on the floor. Like there's always something. And it's like 8 o'clock and you're like, okay, I'm falling asleep and the day is gone. To me, the thing that helped was waking up way earlier and using some energy. I don't care. I'm not really much of an early riser. Like my ideal wake up time is between 6 and 7:30. That's just ideal for me, where I can get enough sleep. And and I just, if you could find even 45 minutes every morning to just dedicate to self-growth, self-development, building that business, building up whatever it is that you feel like is missing in your life, then it's already done and you can be so proud of the day. And I promise you'll still get through your work day. You might be a little sleepier, right? But you'll get through everything. And then by the end of the day, you're not trying to cram it in at night when you have no more creative headspace or energy. So I just feel like that's the thing that helped me. I would wake up, sometimes I would wake up at 5 when I still had that job, because I was like, I need like a full 2 hours this morning to just work and try and make my dreams come true. And I would do all my little manifestations, and I would kneel in front of my vision board and just look at it and be like, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I got to find a way. And I would write in my journal. And I mean, you could waste your whole morning on self development things. You got to save a little bit of time to actually put in some work in the direction that you want to go. That was the thing for me, though. I wasn't willing to let work steal my energy and then I'm stuck with nothing. I was like, I will work so hard in the morning and get up early that I'm tired at work, because my whole goal was to leave that job anyway. And me putting in 80% effort at work because I gave 20% in the morning, that's more than enough to get by and still be okay and still get everything done at work. That strategy, I mean, it might not work for everyone, but I know how well it worked for me. And if you've never tried it, it's worth trying.
Yeah, perfect answer. I agree. I think that's the answer. Like, get up earlier. You've said it before where you were like, put the energy that you're giving to your job, why not put that energy towards you in the first part of your day? Because you're not going to have time at the last part of your day. And some other things that I found helpful is like on your commute to work, if you commute, listen to self-development podcasts, listen to this podcast, listen to You Are the Placebo audiobook for free on Spotify. Like, there's like audiobooks that are free. If you don't have time to read a book, see if they're free on Spotify Premium. Like, there's free audiobook app, the Apple audiobook app. So like, there's free resources, YouTube videos, YouTube shorts. Put them on your speaker on your car, on your walk. Go on a walk. First of all, start walking, start moving your body. I think that's also a huge thing. Like, whatever you're doing that seems mindless, like driving, like walking, like exercising, invest in yourself during that time. It doesn't have to be crazy. Like the 5 a.m. club we talked about, 20, 20, 20. 20 minutes spent moving your body, 20 minutes spent reflecting, 20 minutes spent developing, learning something. Boom, 1 hour. That's it. Now, if you do that over time, hello, Atomic Habits book. Wow, I really like books. But if you do that over time, that you're compounding these little things together and they will lead to something so beautiful. So do what you can with what you have. Don't think that you have to start taking 15 hours of classes all of a sudden. I only have the capacity to do that because of what I have set up for myself the past 4 years with my business. I have the capacity now to finally step back and know I'm still going to be making what I need to make every month, but I might just have to like stay at that steady rate while I'm in school, you know? And so it's like, you need to evaluate your habits. Nick says this all the time. Write down, like, literally for a week, every day. Be like, okay, what am I doing during this time? How long is it taking me to get this done? Like, start really evaluating. I've learned so many people, including myself, are so not as self-aware about what we're doing with our time as we think. Like, we can literally spend 20 minutes scrolling on social media on accident. 20 minutes is being kind. Some people spend way longer than that, you know, or like playing a game on your phone or like watching a TV show or doing the dishes. Some people take way too long to do the dishes. Even making your bed. That's a thing, Nick. Don't have 20 throw pillows. Make it more simple. Take them off your bed. Make it simple. It does not have to be super complicated. Get Factor meal delivery or Hungry Root meal delivery. Get a car detailer to come to you, a mobile detailer. Like, get these things to save you time. So that way you can't keep making excuses. Like, oh, I have to do this. I have to do this. Well, what if you did like the investing in somebody else's services to give you that time back to make money and actually enjoy what you do every day?
I love that all so much. You emphasize so many good things, like the self audit. It's, I promise you guys, like, Don't just be like, oh, I don't need to actually write it down. Like, I have a pretty good grasp of what I do during the day. No, you don't. I promise when you do that self audit, you will be disgusted with yourself in the best way possible because you're going to find that you are terrible at time management and you constantly get distracted and things come up, and you'll just be able to actually look at it objectively. You will be able to look and be like, wow, over the last 7 days, like, let me add it up. I found myself taking 5 minutes to scroll on social media for no reason. You'll be like, I did that 15 times. And all of a sudden you'll be like, that's an hour. That's an hour I could free up. And then you'll look at other things and you'll be like, I spent 4 hours this week cleaning dishes, but it doesn't feel like it because maybe you did 15 minutes in the morning. And then after a big dinner, it took you 20 minutes. You have to look at it all and literally write it down and then add it up and do that self audit. It's that thing that allows you now to look and be like, okay, let me clean some of those things up. And now, if you free up 6 hours in the week and you could put 3 hours into yourself, right? Learning and growing and exercising and moving your body, and another 3 hours into actually working and moving yourself in the direction you want to go. All of a sudden, now that 6 hours a week after a year has created massive, massive changes in everything about you, how you see the world, what your bank looks like, what car you drive, who you surround yourself with. And another thing you said that was so amazing, books and audiobooks and podcasts. You can easily just press a couple buttons on your phone and suddenly start inserting better thoughts into your mind and a new way of thinking. Because if you don't change the way you think, you are just, you're not going to actually make change because your brain is designed to just simplify things and create habits. So you need to break some current thinking patterns and install some new ones by doing things like listening to our podcast, go listen to other podcasts, listen to audiobooks, read these things. This, like, we're not preaching. We're just telling you the things that have allowed us to go from not being where we want to be with our lives at all to having far surpassed what we thought imaginable.
Yeah, and I will preach about you are who you surround yourself with. So just also evaluate who is getting in your head every day. Who are you allowing in your head, in your thoughts, in your mind? Like, who is it that is allowed in your inner circle that can speak into your life? Like, what is their mindset? What are they doing with their lives? And are they somewhere that you want to be? Are they somebody that you feel is a great investment of your time too? Because I had to let go a lot of people in my life, not to be mean. People have done it to me back in the day too. Like, I mean, people will still do it today. If we're not aligning, that's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that. You've got to protect yourself from people. Now, if you have kids, it's a different story. I feel like that is a job. Like, being a parent is a job. And your family, you can't really choose, but just be wise about who are the friends in my life, who are the people I'm following on social media. Is like, there's this girl I love to follow that posts like nostalgic stuff, like her outfit from 2000s, like 2003, 2008, and she's so funny, so relatable, and I'm just like, oh, this feels so good. But I'm like, I could spend 20 minutes scrolling on her page looking at all the like things I used to do in middle school, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, she's entertaining and I will still follow her, but I need to be wise to not constantly go like consume and indulge in this entertaining content because it's really not adding any value to my life. It's just making me feel nostalgic.
I totally relate to that. I have a couple things in my life like that you got to make some cuts sometimes, and I'm about due for one of those self audits myself. I haven't done one in a while, and I'm going to look at it and I'm going to be like, oh, I knew it was going to be bad. Like, I thought I was doing good, but I know there's so much room. And remember, like, by doing this self audit, it's not so you can just fill your whole day with work, work, work. You fill it with things that make you feel good and give you energy and that you actually love and can be proud of. And you cut out the things that are just getting in the way of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and don't be down on yourself. I know we say this a lot. Don't get down on yourself. Use it as a way to observe what's happening, to then make changes, not to judge yourself and have an opinion about it, but instead just observe what's happening, observe your current habits, make decisions to make changes based on your current habits, and then go from there. And just know that it's a journey, it's a process. You don't need to like go ham and then burn out. Just make little changes, little habits. The book Atomic Habits talks about the 2-minute rule. And I've used this. Like sometimes during certain times of the year, I just have a really hard time working out, a really hard time getting my body up to exercise. And I tell myself, okay, I'm going to do it for 2 minutes and then stop. Just 2 minutes is all I need and then stop. Most of the time I keep going. Sometimes I do it for 5 and I'm like, that's it. That's all I'm going to give it today. But I gave it something. That's always more important than doing absolutely nothing. So definitely recommend that book and to do the 2-minute rule.
I've never read Atomic Habits.
I can't with you. Are you kidding me? What?
I, d-
Why?
I just have no idea. I just never really bought it. I feel like everyone in my life talks about it, and I've never read it, and I'm not quite sure why. But
I'll send it to you. I've read it 5 times. I've read that book more than I've read most other books. Like it's so good.
okay, all right, I'll find another one to send you then. I've got some good ones in mind. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about something called hockey stick growth. And this is essentially, if you think of your like progress in whatever you're doing, whether it's in your bank account or your life or your fitness goals, it's essentially like picture a hockey stick. It's got this short part on the bottom and then an upward trending line. Your growth will almost always be in hockey sticks, sometimes that are facing upwards, sometimes that are going down, but like you will have these little plateaus, and sometimes you need to go down once in order to go up twice. And I have been seeing so much hockey stick growth in my life. Like it's always like every time I go down once, it always lets me go up twice. And then you have these little plateaus and these little moments where you're like, all right, like, I've been doing whatever it is, $15,000 a month consistently. And like, I've been kind of stuck there. And then you go down one hockey stick and you're like, wow, I only did like 8,000 this month when I brought on those mentors. And then you'd go 2 hockey sticks up and you're like, now like just hit a 25K month. Like, oh my God, this is insane. And it might happen with your weight. It might happen with your bank. It might happen with, if you're into weightlifting, it might be like your bench press. It could be so many things. But if you just start to think of your life in a line graph and allow yourself to know that like sometimes you got to go down once before you can go up once or twice. I just feel like that visual helps me a lot to give myself the grace to take a step down, knowing that I will put in the work to go up twice after. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I see this in my life now. Now that you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, the thing is too, is when I first noticed this whole hockey stick growth thing, I would freak out if I was on a plateau or I would freak out if it went down. But then I quickly learned like, oh, this is actually kind of necessary for me to get to that next level where I can go up more. And so now I've learned to embrace it. We talked about that on a recent podcast about like embracing the winter and just knowing that it's going to end. This winter season is going to end. This moment, not necessarily the temperature winter, but like if you've heard that podcast, we talk about it's a season of life, no matter what that looks like for you. And so it's like, that these moments happen and you almost have to not let them distract you from what's happening within them so you can learn from them so then you can grow from them. A lot of times my best growth and knowledge comes from those lower moments, those moments where it goes down a little bit. And then I'm like, ooh, okay, I just learned a new perspective, a new skill. I experienced something new. Now I can use that and then go 2 growth sticks up. And so it's kind of like, this is going to happen. It seems scary at first, but I promise you, eventually you're going to be like, this is part of the game. This is part of the equation. It's just how it goes. And that's okay. And I'm not going to let this freak me out, stress me out, give me anxiety. Instead, I'm going to be like, okay, this is happening. And what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do during this moment? And then that allows me more time to actually learn and less time to be freaking out and like questioning, am I doing the right thing?
I used to do the same thing, and I know so many people that also do. Like you take a step down or 2 steps down and you go into panic mode, but it's a totally normal part of any journey. And sometimes like in me and Michelle's case, we both voluntarily were like, all right, let's take a step back so we can go forward. Sometimes it's not your choice. Sometimes you keep hitting the ceiling and bouncing off of it. And you're like, why can't I get through this? And it might be out of your hands, but even still, that just means that something has to change. Your time management, who you're surrounding yourself with, whether you actually know enough skills, you need to go back and learn and understand more. So I just think these visuals help a lot.
Yeah. I know. Anybody watching the YouTube video right now is going to be able to see all the hand movements that
Yeah,
you're doing.
right. We're very Italian with our hand movements. I don't know. It's just it's in my blood. But Michelle, is there anything else on this topic that we need to like really reemphasize?
You're never too young or too old to be in a learning stage. And just know that, like, cause and effect is a thing. You reap what you sow. That's a thing. Karma is a thing. Like, all these, like, whatever you call it, the input you put in will give you the output. Input and output. If you're putting in your time and money into something, the thing is, there's no positive or negative of input, right? It's just what it is. It is input. If you're putting your input into consuming social media content that's not helpful, or consuming video games or TV all the time, your output is going to be whatever your life looks like. But if you put in investing, listening to podcasts, reading books, your output cannot help but be something of growth, something of new, something of just like a next level. You know what I'm saying? Like, the time that you put in is not positive or negative. It is what it is. So whatever you're putting your time towards, you get to decide, because you have free will, what is that thing going to be?
That's a really good summary of everything we just talked about. I don't think I can top that or add anything that you didn't hit on. But what I do want to tell you guys, all of our amazing listeners, is that we have a new feature for our podcast where you can go to our link tree, which is in any of the bios of our, our Instagram or our YouTube or wherever you go. And you can go to creationtocashflow.com and you can leave us up to a 90-second voice recording. I don't care if you want to just say, hey guys, this show has been really helpful in these ways and you don't want us to play it. Or if you want to ask us a question that we can actually play on the pod and we can answer it for you guys, whether we cater a whole episode to it because it's like, wow, this is a big one, or maybe it's just something we take a little bit of time to answer. You could also, if you're like, I don't want you playing my recording, you could just type something in as well. But we want to start making this a little bit more interactive for you guys so that you can get that personal experience, right? Whatever it is you're struggling with or want to know more with or just want our take on, you now have a couple of different ways to provide that. If you just go to creationtocashflow.com, and you can find myself on Instagram and TikTok, and you can message me there at Get Ahead with Nick. You can find Michelle on Instagram and TikTok at Michelle JH. That's Michelle with 2 L's, 4 E's, JH. We love you guys, and thanks for listening.